Listeners be advised. The Soliloquy podcast discuss matters related to the human experience and many that are sexual in nature. Due to this, some conversations may surround triggering topics such as sexual violence, self-harm, abuse, and much more. Please be advised, a list of crisis and psychological resources will be available in the show notes of this episode. With that said, let's get started with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please as we go through the following safety instructions.
In the event that there is a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop from the overhead. Place the mask over your nose and mouth. Breathe normally as oxygen is flowing even if the mask is not inflated. Be sure to adjust your own mask before helping others.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak about sexuality. This is your favorite host, Vernon T. Scott, also known as Slaytor Jackson, and for you freaky motherfuckers out there, Sebastian Adams. On today's episode, we will be discussing sexually transmitted infections, also known as STIs and also known as STDs. All the things. But my guest today, again, that divine motherfucker named Devannon. So happy to have you with us. How are you doing today?
Hello. I'm doing fan-fucking-tastic. Thank you so much for thinking enough of my tits to have them back on your show for the second time.
I'm so done. Yes, y'all. It's the tits. It's the tits. I would have thought it might have been the smile, the personality, all this, but it's the tits. It's really just the tits. I'm so done. So today we're talking about STIs. Oh, wait. Before I get into it, because I have to remind motherfuckers to go to this men's shop. Go over there, get all the sexy things that you desire. There's other things on his site other than the lingerie. I'm just a whore, okay? So he has sportswear, swimwear. He has it all on his site, and everything looks beautiful. But again, there is that lingerie that I'm here for the lingerie, y'all. It's beautiful over there. So
Thank you. I was going to say thank you. I appreciate that. DownUnder Apparel, my lingerie store, which we mentioned last time, I've had that store almost 10 years. I started in a flea market in a small town called Denham Springs outside of Baton Rouge at a little booth. And now we're online and we ship to every continent in the world. And it's really been a dream come true. It was my first legitimate business after being a drug dealer. And so it's really, 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 really my heart. And so I appreciate your support of it.
Oh, of course. What I just heard was growth. Did y'all hear that too? Did y'all hear growth? I don't know. Did you hear growth? I heard growth. Speaking of growth, get his memoir. Get his motherfucking memoir, Sex, Drugs, and Jesus. Listen to his fucking podcast as well, also known as Sex, Drugs, and Jesus. Okay? All right. All right, let's get into some STI talk. Now, one of the things that we discussed in our intake meeting was some of your personal experience in terms of STIs. Would you like to share that with everybody?
Hell to the fuck yeah. So I've had just about every sexually transmitted disease out there. So let me list them for you. HIV, I almost had full-blown AIDS when I was homeless and strung out on meth, and I let my T-cell count get down to I think under 500. I've had syphilis a bunch of times, gonorrhea, chlamydia, anal warts. Feels like forgetting something. Oh, happy I am. Hepatitis B.
Yeah, if you have not seen the episode of Devannon and myself on his page yet, we were talking about how he has STI bingo and I just have mental health bingo, and it's a thing. It is what it is, and we love it. And this show does not shame or stigmatize anybody because we're all sexual beings who are deserving love in this world. And it's a beautiful thing that you're still here with us, that you get to tell your story and just have this conversation, because a lot of people don't even learn about STIs other than to shame not to have sex, but don't really get a full education on it. Because it's a lot more related to STIs rather than just the worst outcomes. You can still be out here loving people, having sex, because we are still sexual beings, and just experiencing good vibes, good energy from other people. Remove the stigma, people. Remove the fucking stigma. Um, but what are other things that you would like to share in terms of your experience with having an STI, or even being treated for any types of STIs?
I feel like society failed me and fails people continuously to this day in
Mm.
sexual education. Because, you know, children don't ask to be born. Kids are brought into this world and then oftentimes abandoned, either physically and not given shelter and food and clothing, or mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and not given the proper intrinsic nutrition, which is required to grow a being from on the inside.
Mhm.
So I'm saying all this to say, being the youngest kid of one, two, three older siblings, no one taught me about sex. No one prepared me for the world. They sent me out there, 17 to the military with no education about sex at all. And so I learned, like many of us do, from porn, from, yeah, gay.com. There were no apps in those days. So, or as Madonna said in one of her songs, you get your education from your lovers. And that's not a good place to get it from, because your lovers have an agenda, something they're trying to get out of you other than your well-being.
Mm. Oh, that's a word right there. Jesus, what is with you in the just delivering these words? I love it. I love it. Yo, lover is trying to they have their own agenda, which is fine. You can have your own agenda, but they're not trying to teach you how you love sex or how you embrace sex. They're learning their own sexual needs in this moment. And it is, in a way, I hate to say it this way, but it is your responsibility to learn what you like when it does come to sex. And this is also why I'm a huge fan of masturbation, is so that you teach yourself the things that you do enjoy, but that also means you have to be willing to be real and recognize your own needs in the moment, and appreciate and love your body in order to engage in those sexual acts. And a lot of people are taught to shame their bodies. So it's unlearning that you have to do in that process too.
We are supposed to explore and learn, but I do believe that it is for the parent, really, or if they really are not there, or they are there and they fucking suck for whatever reason, then the older sibling. And I don't care, if to even teach the child how to explore, to say, to tell that child it's okay to try something, hate it, try something else. It's okay to make mistakes. I'm talking about just sexually speaking. So
Mm-hmm.
that means you have a teenager whose dick been started to get harder, their pussy been started to bleed, and all of this is going on. We don't just tell them, here's condoms and here's tampons. Good luck with that piece.
Mm-hmm.
You have to say, okay, this is the sex drive. This is how you explore. The mistakes may be made, and from now on and for the rest of your life, kid, you can come back to me and re-engage this conversation. And I'm going to check in on you every now and then, forever.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I, I do not disagree with that. Because I also believe that it is the parents' role to have these conversations with their kids. And I do understand not all parents are willing and comfortable with that conversation, because sex is shamed so much. So I see the value in having like proper sex education programs, not the abstinent only shit that a lot of us had, but proper education around sexuality. But it is ultimately up to the parents to have that additional conversation with their child about, okay, this is what you may experience during this time. This is what a period is. This is, even if you're not what is it, ovary owner, you still should be knowledgeable enough. That means if you got a penis, be knowledgeable enough to have a conversation with the young person, your child, who might have periods, to communicate with them, this is what is happening in your body. This may happen once a month. Stress might have an impact on that flow. The intensity, diet might have a impact there. But to let your child know that, okay, nothing's wrong with your body, everything's okay, and let's have this conversation. When you do have sexual desires, sexual urges, you might want to express that with someone your own age. Not necessarily be like, not under my roof or anything like that. Just have that conversation. It will be best for you to wait until you are more comfortable with the person and know them very well, before you go down that route of having sex with any individual. And if they ever ask you to keep any secrets, come to me. I'm an open source. I will always listen to you. I will always talk you through whatever's going on to make sure that you feel safe, and leave it at that. And be an actual parent to your child and not a dictator to the child.
There is a void that is left in the soul of children when the parents don't step in and give this education. And you see, a child is like a cat. That's the best thing I can say, because I have 2 cats and I've raised them since they were little babies. They're always running around looking to be given instructions or led and stuff like that. I don't have rude cats. They're very clingy, and I remember a kid being this way, just following my mom, looking up to my dad. So what am I chasing them for besides attention, instructions, directions, guidance? You grow a plant out in the garden, that thing needs to be trained along the fence. If it's a vine, or it'll just grow wildly. You have to guide the things that you're trying to grow. Now, see, that void is the reason why many of us end up in drug houses. It's a shame, our gay families a lot of time give us better instruction than our biological families. So parents, if you don't want to have this conversation with your children, you look fake, you look like you ain't keeping it real, and you don't look valid. And so if I can go to my chosen family, or unfortunately the drug den or a gang, and they keep it 100 with me, I'm going to keep going around them because I don't feel like I'm being lied to. Your children already know about all the shit you don't want to talk to them about anyway. So you're going to let the street them or you.
And that's one of those things that some parents don't want to have that reckoning with themselves about, is that, one, the child already knows. Kids are not dumb. Kids are extremely smart. They might still be learning new concepts and stuff, but in their mind, they're figuring out some of the math is just not mathing. You keep saying that y'all have no problems, but somebody's sleeping on this damn couch every night and the other person's in the bedroom.
The Holiloquy podcast focuses on the variability of sexual expression. When it comes to sexual expression, we often depend on pornography to illustrate how one must perform sexually. For those who have not learned this by now, the stuff you see in porn is not real. Pornography provides a singular perspective of sexual expression that is not often the reality we see during our own sexual encounters. The Holiloquy podcast is a conversation that takes you outside of the compressed box of what many know about sex. Some of the topics we discuss includes kinks, condom usage, status disclosure, and past sexual experiences. The Holiloquy podcast steps out on sexual norms and recognizes that the norm is not the only normal. Subscribe today and join the conversation.
Saying that y'all have no problems, but somebody's sleeping on this damn couch every night and the other person's in the bedroom. Why are y'all not sleeping together? Why are y'all not in the same room? Why is it that every time the door closes, I hear loud noises coming out of that room. Kids pick up on these things. They pick up on the small things. They pick up on the big things too. Just tell kids the truth. That way they don't have to find answers from the one person or people or community that is finally going to provide some semblance of a truth. It might not be the reality that they're looking for or the truth that they're seeking, but they'll grasp onto that thing because it's a lot more truth than what you're providing them.
And so you can't hide truth anymore. You can't hide information. What truth is very, very subjective these days. Well, the truth is the truth, but again, perception is everything. So I'm saying all that to say, parents, you can't talk out your neck, as they say, with that bullshit and tell your kids something, because they can just go look shit up on the internet and see if you're lying. So you have to come to terms with reality. I've never been a parent, but I know a lot of realistic, down-to-earth parents, and I know if I'm ever a parent of a human and not a cat, that I'm going to tell them the fucking truth. But, a lot of these parents live in denial. They don't face their own truths. They don't face their own facts. Like I said in the first recording, you can't give away what you don't have. And so if you have a parent who's living lies, then they're not going to command truth from a kid, because they don't have truth within them. So you have broken people having children, creating further brokenness.
Sounds like a dumpster fire. That's all I hear, a whole ass dumpster fire. And look, I used to work in higher well, I kind of still work in higher ed, but just being around most definitely the current generation of students, and I'm just like, y'all are so fucking broken, to the point that you cannot say certain things without them feeling triggered. And it's not that it's not necessarily respectability. It's just that some of these kids really cannot handle any semblance of truth without feeling as though that you are disrespecting them, insulting them, or making them feel less than. And that's not even the case. It's just, hey, I see your potential and I want you to do better. This is where you messed up. And just having that conversation is even hard these days. And I hate that.
It's only difficult because we make shit difficult. Nothing really has to be fucking difficult. You know what difficult is? Having like 4 felonies like I did and trying to get a job. That's difficult.
That is difficult. Oh my.
You want to know what's difficult? It's selling so much crystal meth that they send the SWAT team after you with like the K9s and the helicopters and the 40 different armed men with the semi-automatic rifles and face shields, which is what happened to me, and trying to run from them without getting caught. That's difficult.
That's the prologue, y'all.
Difficult. that is in the prologue in my book. What's difficult is being homeless and roaming the streets and sleeping in the backs of cars and shitting in parks and wiping your ass with leaves. That's difficult.
Child. Again, a motherfucking word. It's all about perspective. It is all about perspective. I'm not even gonna lie. And that's the thing that I just wish that a lot more parents would take serious when it comes to their kids and rearing their kids, and not expecting other and outside entities to be that parent to their child rather than them be it.
Oh, right. They do that shit in a minute. Let the school teach you, or let the church teach you. No. A child is going to receive more from their parents than they will from anywhere else. You gave birth to them. Or if you adopted them, you took that special interest in them. You're around them the most. They may listen to the church or the school, but if you step in and do what you're supposed to do, they're going to listen to you first, because you have the greatest influence over them. Now, there's a line that Morissette said in one of her songs, from the Jagged Little Pill album, it's so easy not to. So much easier not to. So, and I don't know, sometimes I question why some people have kids. It is hard, it's selfish to me, because when you hear people, and I'm not saying, how can it not be though? Because you want a kid to do what? They can contribute nothing. They're there to make you feel good. Most people go, we want a kid to bring joy and bubbly, warm feelings into our home. Sometimes they say they want a kid to save their marriage. Maybe this kid will make everything okay.
That kid is not Jesus.
Are you, no immaculate conception is happening, bitch. You got that whole stuff. That's where that kid came from. And so, I mean, what are the reasons? People go, we want to have this kid, for us, there's no possible way you're having a kid for the kid's sake. you know.
Man, I had to say that. Now I'm just like, you know what? You can't. You really cannot. It's always a choice between those people. Oh yeah, I'm just going to birth this child because I know that child already. We met in this dream. They already introduced me. All this other shit. That doesn't really happen. Well, at least I haven't been exposed to that. If you've had that experience, let me fucking know. And who is that child? Is that the person that you gave birth to? Is that child still happy? I need to know.
And Jesus said to mourn what a person is born and to rejoice at the day of death. And humans are so fucking emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord is actually he's emotional, but he's also very practical. And I like to view myself the same way. I look at somebody being born and I'm all like, you've been born in a hell of a world,
Mm-hmm.
And then when someone's dying, I'm like, okay, bitch, you get to leave. The whole world isn't terrible, but again, it's perspective. Our truest selves, and I'm getting a little bit off tangent here, our truest selves is our spirit form. And when we die, we shed that, the flesh that holds us back, and then we get to be close to God, then. I'm not saying, I'm talking about a life well lived, fulfilled purpose, not going off and killing yourself or nothing like that, because it matters how you depart this plane of existence, your afterlife, you don't want to leave here in some sort of wrecked way. That's my spiel on that. I just think about this sort of thing. I will adopt children one day when I'm rich enough to put them in homeschooling, because I'm not sending my child to school. They will never step foot in a school. They will never step foot in the church. People get shot up in both these days. They're going to be taught about God at home, and they're going to be educated at home. And I thank God, I'm going to say this and I'm going to put a dick in my mouth and shut up. I thank you for your patience. I love the fact that we live in a world now that you don't have to leave your house for shit. You can be born, and once you get home from the hospital, you can be educated. You can get your groceries. You can have friends over. You can get your spiritual education. You can go camping and do all that shit. You want to stream all the damn movies that are coming out at home. As time goes on, you really don't have to leave home for much.
You're right, though. You're right. Because Lord knows I love being at home a lot. Because home is where I have my peace. And I know there's a lot of people who are not fortunate enough to make that same statement. And if you fall under that camp, ask yourself, why is there not peace at my home? And when you find that answer, figure out what you need to do. That's all I can say. And your child is not a reason that you do not have peace in your home, because that child did not ask to be here. That's all I'm going to say on that. But yeah, we went off on multiple tangents, and that's the purpose of this damn show. So it's all good. No need to apologize. One of the things that we ended up discussing is how, okay, I remember that I brought up the concept of raw is law, and then you were just like, raw sex is a gamble. Let's have that conversation.
I love raw dick. I mean, it's the way God intended. Condoms are not that old. I mean, and sometimes I think about how back in the 60s, 70s, when AIDS was first coming around, the mind fuck, that it was for people who had never seen a condom before, who had never heard of contraceptives. When the government gives you some new shit and you're like, what? Just what they probably mentally had to go through to understand, like, okay, I have to wrap my dick in plastic to do what I've been doing my whole life. Where they do that at? This don't make no sense. And so, and that's why I just have like one partner. I don't sleep with, other people like that, because you got too much monkeypox and shit running around now. And I like raw dick. Now, is it raw is law? You like what you like. I have a really tight asshole, and so condoms are very agitating for my asshole. It's easier penetration if there is no sheath there. And so I like what I like. I have a huge cum fetish. The first time I ever had sex, I can't remember if he came in me, but he definitely went in raw. And I don't think he came in me. He was too much of a gentleman, though I begged him to. Oh, I hate that chat. I'm all like, he's in me, raw, but I'm like, okay, you can't get me pregnant. I think some of the straight guys are just used to pulling out raw and just do it out of force of habit. But no, I mean, to each his own. I just am very clear on what I like, which means that I can expose myself to a lot of disease, which means I don't sleep with a lot of different people because people don't take care of themselves.
That is true. If you're not being tested regularly and you're just like raw dogging everybody, you're putting more people at risk than you think. And I know, like for myself, I know if I'm in a committed relationship, and most definitely if it's with the penis owner, or even if it's someone with the vulva owner, and I'm like topping it, some shit like that, I'm more inclined to be on the raw side of things. But it's also that concept if I'm going to be in a romantic relationship and I still have my poly urges, I also know that whoever I'm going to engage with is going to be protected sex, because most people don't even know their sexual histories, are willing to share their sexual history, and I don't want to put myself at risk for you failing to do your research on your own body. And it's not because I know my main thing is most definitely when it comes to like certain medications like PrEP. I personally don't like to take a pill every single day. And that's one of the things, because I know myself, I don't like anything that I have to do daily. I'm very against like ritual behavior too. So if I have to take something every day around the same time, I'm pissed off. So for me, that's one reason why I do protect myself in that sense. I hate getting sick because of that too, because I don't want to have to take this medication twice a day. So I'm frustrated already. So in order for me to prevent me from having to do those things, I prefer to have the condom, so that I reduce those chances of me having to take a pill a day, essentially. But again, for like if I were to be in a relationship with somebody who might have who might be undetectable or have active HIV, I will be willing to take a pill a day for that person. Now, if things don't work out, a motherfucker's getting off the pill. But yeah, that's mostly just my perspective on like the gambles of raw sex. Have I had STIs before? I have, because I gamble when it comes to oral, and that's pretty much how I caught gonorrhea that one time. It was from oral, but other than that,
Were you giving or receiving?
giving.
So you caught like oral gonorrhea.
Mm-hmm.
How did those symptoms present?
I did have a scratchy throat, but it just felt like a common cold, honestly. The only reason I knew about it was because I was actually going up for my regular testing. So and I know that it happened between November and December 17th of that year. So
See, that's interesting to me because I'd be telling people, that, oral sex doesn't just, get you a, fuck free card, an STD free card. Like you can catch shit from oral sex, although it may not happen as often, but it does happen. People don't say that. And some people act like they can have sex without any kind of barrier they want, and they can just go skipping down the lily brushes. That's not true. That's not true. But I commend your doctor for being thorough enough to swab your mouth, and to find that, because that, most doctors would just completely overlook something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was actually the clinic. This was back in the Nashville days, and I went to a clinic that specializes in focused on LGBTQ people. And that was like literally the only place that actually ever, well, actually, no, that would be a lie. They're not the only ones that ever did a throat swab, but not too many have. I think that place, a place I went back in August of last year, they did it as well. And my most recent, not my most recent, but like at the beginning of the year, when I had to just get a full body screening, they did it then too. But other than that, most places don't ever do a throat, well, from my experience, ever did like a throat swab. Now, I will say the one thing that not too many clinics across this damn country do not test for is HSV1 and HSV2. And I get why they don't do it. Herpes simplex virus. I get the reason why they don't do it, because most people catch HSV1 as kids from either drinking out after each other's cups or doing a little makeout sessions as like teenagers or whatever. You're not testing for herpes, because who doesn't have a cold sore at a young age? Well, I didn't have one, but essentially that's what's going on. So because it's so common, they just don't test for it. It's just assume whoever you're making out with, having sex with, probably have HSV1. The same assumption is with HPV too, because that's very popular too.
Right. So yeah, I was shocked to find out that we all have HSV on us the moment we start touching and playing fondle footsie with people and stuff like that. But in a way, it's a part of what bonds us all together.
Mm-hmm. We all out here with herpes. It's okay. I love you, herpes brother. I love you, herpes sisters. I herp you, herpes sibling. It's okay. If you had chicken pox, you have herpes. Surprise, bitch. Well, it's a strand of herpes, but still, surprise, bitch.
And so, right. And so I hope your audience knows, when you go to the doctor, we need to check for more than just HIV, chlamydia, and gonorrhea. You got to check for syphilis, and you need to do a hepatitis screen too. Okay, hepatitis is easier to catch than HIV. So like, as I understood it the last time I checked, if you put like HIV, a blood sample just outside of a body on a spoon and just leave it, it'll die like in 24 hours. But if you do that with like hepatitis, it'll stay alive for like a month. And so you have to be careful. And syphilis is much easier to catch than HIV. You have to have enough of HIV on board in somebody's body for it to take hold in your body. Should it be introduced to it, the conditions have to be right. Syphilis is not picky like that. Hepatitis isn't picky like that. And as much as a fuss as we make about HIV, syphilis will kill you faster than HIV will. My physician assistant who I see, she uses the phrase blind, crippled, and crazy to refer to the effects of syphilis, because it will get into your bloodstream, it will get into your spine and get into your nervous system and cause you to have a stroke. It don't take long for it to spread. We're not talking years, bitch. That shit spread months depending on your particular anatomy. A drug dealer I used to pick up meth from, one time that I got arrested, I come walking in the jail in the gay tank at Harris County jail in Houston. Yes, about 60 gay people all in one huge cell. As dramatic as you think, yes, it was. I come walking in there, and this bitch is on a cane, bent over with one side of his body gimped out, and I'm all like, what the fuck? He's all like, I had syphilis and didn't know. So when she says blind, crippled, and crazy, I've seen it, and it can cause you to lose your eyesight. Syphilis, and all you need is a penicillin shot in the ass to get rid of it, but it doesn't present with symptoms often, or they call syphilis the great imitator. Like, it just looks like other shit, so doctors may not catch it. So y'all need to get checked for syphilis regularly, so you don't end up in a wheelchair.
That's a word, motherfuckers. Get checked regularly. Make sure it's on your panel. Speaking of which, did I get tested for that last time? Let me double check my history. Look, I am not trying to be out here blind, crippled. What was the other two?
Blind, crippled, crazy. You want to check for syphilis, the full hepatitis A through A, B, C, D, I think E. And they might not want to check you for all the hepatitis, depending on your doctor. But I mean, then fuck it, you can go get a different doctor what you want. I know hepatitis, I think A, C, and B might be the big ones. You got to talk to your physician about it. But all I'm saying, get checked for more shit than just the big three: HIV, gonorrhea, and chlamydia, because the worst shit doesn't have symptoms. And then see, you can get hepatitis vaccines, now if you've never had it before, to shield you against potential hepatitis exposure. That was something I didn't know.
That's good to know. And you know what? I just looked over this damn panel. They got me tested for everything except for syphilis. Even though like 2 months after that, I did have like what was it? Oh, I had strep. So if it was there, that shit died out there at that moment because I had to take steroids for the strep. And that strep was bad. That was a bad. Now, was it strep or was it syphilis, bitch? Oh my God. Let me stop. Let me stop. I'm good, y'all. I'm good. I promise. But yes. Syphilis. Watch out for that motherfucker. That reminds me of the conversation that we were having on your podcast about just the stigma surrounding HIV, most definitely during Pride Month, when you have a boost in those advertisements of getting tested for HIV. And it's just like, it impacts everybody. It's not just LGBTQ plus people, it's everybody.
No, it's everybody. And I did an interview with my physician assistant, the one who I've been under her care for like 10 years. And I asked her, and this interview will be coming out in a week or two. I asked her about this. I was like, okay, so is it just the gays with these diseases or what? And she was like, the results on the straight people are inconclusive. Because the thing is, when straight people go to clinics, they're not being asked about their sexual practices. So if somebody presents with HIV or whatever, they're not going to go, oh, and do you have sex with men too? Or were you at an orgy? Or they just go, okay, you're straight, you happen to get at the end. And then also straight people aren't telling either. So if they go in there with some shit oozing out of their dick and they got it from some bottom they fucked on the way home to their wife, they're just going to show up and just tell the doctor to keep it hush, treat the shit, don't let the wife know. So she was like, basically, we don't have enough information and evidence on exactly these quote unquote straight people's extracurriculars to give you a definitive answer on what the hell they be doing. So bottom line, no, it's not just us, but they don't know what portion of the diseases belong to the straight people because they're too tight-lipped about exactly how they like to get down.
That's an interesting concept right there. Oh, okay, now when does that episode release so I can make sure I'm over there looking at that shit? Because that is interesting.
And I was like, So then since we're talking about vaccines, that episode will be out probably either this Thursday or next Thursday. So that's the last Thursday in June or the first Thursday in July. So since we're talking about vaccines, I wanted to mention, if I may, the need for the HPV vaccine, the human papilloma virus. I don't know if that's related to herpes or not, but it's a 3-series shot, takes you a year to take the whole thing. And they have to be done, I think, 2 or some amount of months apart, like damn near on the same day, that you had it, like to the day that you had it done each month before, each time before. I think there might be some wiggle room there for a slight degree of variance on that. Mm-hmm. So then for the anal warts that I've had before, so I go each year for what I call my anal rejuvenation retreat.
That's how he stays tight, y'all.
Nice and tight for company. So yeah, because okay, so there's these things called anal pap smears that everyone needs to get. I don't care if you're a woman, a bottom, a low key, down under brother, whatever the fuck. If you like to have your asshole played with, you need to get it swabbed. And what they're checking for are irregular cells. And so my physician assistant, she had my asshole swabbed by the ass doctors, and they found some irregular cells. Okay. So then they put me under anesthesia and went in to see. And what they do, there's like a vinegar-like solution. Once they open your asshole up while you're under anesthesia, they drip this solution on there, and any sort of abnormal cells or spots to question will highlight. Okay. And so they found this in me, and they cut some of it out. They sent it to the lab, and they found out that it was precancerous. And so I had anal warts back in like 2002, 2003. So the growths grew out, the dingleberries and all of that hanging out, out my asshole. They cut those off, burned it with like a hot iron or something like that, and they didn't come back. But what can happen is you can have residual, they can come back, or you can also have, since the area has been compromised, those cells can turn into cancer, and it could take a long time for it to happen. This has been over 20 years ago. This was barely at this point. But had we let it go, and my physician assistant told me she has a patient who's a guy who had the same thing, and they didn't catch his in time, and now he has cancer, and he has all his chemo and everything like that, and it all started with anal warts. And so get the HPV vaccine and get swabbed at least just once a year is all you need. And it don't hurt. They not sticking no damn dildo up your ass. It's like a cotton swab right on the outside. Okay, you've had worse up there, so don't get cute now.
Worse up there. But hey, I know one thing that really bothers me when it comes to going to the doctor or whatever is looking at your results and see that you're because very vocal about my sexuality when it most definitely about meeting with a doctor, but to see on your chart that high risk sexual activity, and I'm like, what about my sexual life is high risk? Because I have sex with other people. You don't know that if I'm having sex with multiple people at one point, or if I'm having sex with just one person. You didn't even ask me about my condom usage, which I use 99.8% of the time with my sexual partners. So what the fuck makes me high risk? What is this? I know that it's code just to be like, oh, this is a queer patient or whatever, but that is still an offensive language. And that's also assuming my sexual practices, because you didn't, yeah, I told you my sexual history, whatever, but what calculations did you find to make my sexual acts high risk for what?
They judged you.
Mm-hmm. Judge me like fuck. And I don't know too many heterosexuals who have high risk on their medical charts. I don't.
That's what my physician assistant was saying though. Like they're just not, they don't treat straight people the same way, even though they do all the freaky shit we do. I've been to straight swingers clubs with no gay sex happening. It was a bunch of straight people fucking each other. I've had sex with countless married men on the way when they get off work on the way home to their wife. So we all high risk. If you're having sex, then we all at the same risk level. Some more than others if they depend on how they roll, but everybody takes a condom off every now and then. Ain't nobody 100% with that shit. I refuse to believe it.
I refuse to believe it too.
I've been able to convince men before he was reaching for the condom. I have talked men out of wearing condoms. I wanted their raw dick in my ass. Oh, honey, I'm persuasive.
Oh my God, you should not persuade people to have fuck with you, have sex with you like that. Lord.
I can but ask. I mean, he's a big man in the situation. I can't force him, but I can ask.
That's true. So let's see. Oh, another thing that we're talking about, kind of related to condom usage and whatnot, is but the belief that that some people have, that there's nothing to fear in terms of not using condoms or just fucking raw, because of the concept of there's treatments out here. I can go out here raw dog anybody because all I have to do is just take a pill. All I have to do is just take a shot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there's something to be said about the attitude that we have. And I think many times people get healed and delivered because they have good attitude about whatever kind of situation that they might find themselves in. But sometimes I think casual attitudes cause us to forfeit our healing and deliverances at times. Now I'm talking about energetically and spiritually speaking. Like I think God look upon us who, if we have this like a fuck it attitude about shit, we actually have concern, and that might make the difference on your outcome. And then energetically speaking, you know, the vibrations that you're, you know, handling life with, if you're going to be that casual, like, oh, well, whatever, you know, then eventually, oh, well, whatever is going to happen to you. And so, but no, see, the thing about these diseases is there's many different strands of all of them. It's not just one HIV virus running around. You've all kind of variations. This can be easily seen in the coronavirus. You saw how that thing morphs and changes. Well, HIV is older than the coronavirus. There's many different strands of it. Hepatitis and syphilis is not just, and so you can have HIV, be on medication successfully and have the virus suppressed. If you fuck around enough or with the wrong person who has a strand that crossbreeds with your own, you can render your medication ineffective, you see. And now they know, and no doctor's going to tell you 100% we can treat everything. They may give you 99.8% like you, but there are cases out there where the medicine, a person's body may not respond to the medicine. The chances are it will, but you don't know that every time. And I hope that answers your question, because there's no medical guarantees.
Oh no, you answered it. But it's like a lot of people don't think about that, or even consider the fact that there are different strands and how that can impact you, because even being on PrEP, that's not a 100% thing. And that's one thing a lot of people don't think about. Even when it comes to PEP, the post-exposure, that's not 100%. It is not necessarily a risky game. It can be considered a risk too, but it is something that you have to be cognizant of with every sexual experience that you do engage in, is what am I exactly putting myself at risk for by taking these actions. And that's another reason to think about who you're engaging with sex with prior to doing so, having those conversations with the people that you're looking to engage in sex with, so that everybody's on the same page. If you find out, oh, this person has is undetectable, or this person has syphilis, this person has gonorrhea, HPV, whatever, then you can have that conversation of, okay, are you comfortable with moving forward? What is this sexual experience going to look like for the both of us? Because I like you, you like me, I'm sexually attracted to you. Even if it's going to be like a quick hookup, you know what? The energy that you're giving me in just these dick pics, these asshole pics, these tit pics, whatever the pics that you sent me, the energy that I'm getting from what you sent in these pictures, I'm lusting you so much that I don't give a fuck. We can still meet the fuck up and do the damn thing, because I made that conscious decision to put myself at risk to make that gamble with you.
Well, it's like rolling the dice, you know. And I just want to just speak. So I understand that there are people who are having a lot of sex because you're lonely. You know, you may be trying to fill a void and you don't realize it. You might be brokenhearted. You might be fresh out of a bad relationship or a good relationship that ended badly. You might be feeling feelings of rejection and looking for love in different beds. I've done that before. I had a bad relationship with my dad, and I went about the business of finding the most masculine men that I could to embrace me, because he wouldn't. And so, but they weren't going to hug me for free. They needed some ass. So that was the way it went. And so, you know, maybe somebody out there needs money in order to survive. And so you're feeling like this is the way that, you know, sex is the way that you got to do it. The only thing I'm going to say on both of those things is that I understand where you're coming from. I see you, and, you know, I'm with you.
And that's it.
That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, Well, I will say that is a wonderful message to end this episode on as we switch over to the nasty, freaky shit of never have I ever and all that other good stuff. But we're going with would you rather. So, um, would you rather be really good at foreplay and bad at sex, or be really good at sex and terrible at foreplay?
I'd rather be really good at foreplay and bad at sex, because by the time somebody is ready for the sex, I've already pleased them so much they have a positive imprint on their mind. So that'll overshadow the bad sex, hopefully.
Ooh, that's a nice way to put it. I like that. Because I was leaning towards. Actually, I'm with you because I do enjoy foreplay, and I'm of the mindset that foreplay is ongoing. So it's not just, oh, before sticks go into holes. It is just all of that engagement because I'm a kink motherfucker. So that is with the feather play, that is with the nipple play, the ear nibbling. If a motherfucker will finally do this, people, oh my God, it's been so low. But to be engaged in that way in the buildup of it all is the thing that most definitely excites me, and it excites a lot of other people too. The actual physical aspects of fucking and whatever, to me, that's temporary. Even if that can go be ongoing, but that connection is very temporary versus the connection you have when it comes to foreplay. I do foreplay a different way. For me, foreplay is I'm exploring your body. I'm doing sensual side rubs, introducing you to new erogenous zones on your body that you might not have known about, doing some licking, probably some sucking, probably some kissing of the body, like probably of the lips, who knows? All of that, neck kisses, deep rubs, deep petting, all the good shit. And then we can get into the fucking side of things. That helps me build up the sexual atmosphere. That makes things seem a little bit more intense for me. It makes me feel a lot more aroused by doing those things or having those things done to me. Um, but yeah, I would definitely rather have that good foreplay versus just good sex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I'm being reminded of right now is so like when you're dealing with sex with a woman, you can't just dive in. You have to give her foreplay in order to get her body ready. Vaginas don't just spring to life like dicks and spring up in a second. So a woman needs more from you to get her pussy wet and swollen and rising to the occasion to meet your shaft, So, and then I've heard it said before that some men have erection problems, not because there's anything wrong with their body, but because they skip play. It's a school of thought to be considered, but it is a school of thought that I heard the other day that says that maybe if a man would spend more time foreplay, his dick would get harder and stay that way. Because what happens in foreplay, he's getting his head in the game,
Mhm.
you get everything else off of your mind, and you're allowing yourself to become present in your body, and you're naturally relaxing and allowing all the blood to flow, and you're releasing the stress of the day. So now you can focus on what you want to do. But if you just want to hop right in and bam, 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 then you're cheating your dick too.
Mm. Don't cheat your dicks, y'all. Do not cheat your dicks. Please don't. And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the last episode about expectations. That helps relieve that expectation of the sexual experience too, because you're engaging in more than just jabbing your dick into someone. You are engaged into sexual experience where you can get different types of arousal from your sexual partner. You can even engage in a different way that you find arousing in that moment that may help you get your dick hard, that you don't need like outside drugs or anything like that. It's just you in that moment experiencing sexual encounters with your partner and growing that build up, that excitement for the sexual act. And then, you know, hop on and do whatever the fuck you want to do. You can go in and out of that process. If you want to make this a very long sexual experience, you want to, you know, let your dick calm down some, pull the fuck out and go back into that foreplay, go back into the playing so that everyone's enjoying it. You might find something out about yourself in those moments if you do engage in a lot more foreplay with your sexual partner, regardless of your gender expression. Give it a try and see what the fuck happens.
See what the fuck happens.
Look, if you don't like it, give me 5 stars on anything that you're on, because it's not my problem. See a sex therapist, see a sex coach. That's not that. You might have some deeper things going on that you need to address. That's all I'm saying. Don't get mad at me. But if it does work, also give me 5 stars. I appreciate you. I love you so much. And also send me comments and let me know how you're doing. Check in, motherfuckers. I love y'all. Okay, a sex question. You ready?
I was born for this.
I know. So, what's something you've never tried in bed but are dying to add to your bag of tricks?
Child, my bag of tricks runneth over. I mean, we tried everything from stuffing one of the cucumbers I grew in the garden up my ass. And, you know, I've had sex in ditches before. I mean, we've done the ropes, the handcuffs, dildos. We tried the energetic things and all of that.
I'm coming back to that. I'm going back to that. But what were you saying?
I want to introduce just more meditation into the sex. So not exactly like Tantra, but if you watch, there's a thing Gwyneth Paltrow did on Netflix called Sex, Love, and Goop.
Love it.
Very interesting show. I wish there would have been a male couple on there. That's the only shade that I have against her for that. But other than that, it's an interesting way to look at sex from all the energy exchange and stuff like that. And sex is an energy exchange. That's why I say there's no such thing as meaningless sex. Oh, it meant something. You just chose to cut off your consciousness from the meaning. But I want more meditation involved in it. So that means more slowing down and more feeling each other's aura, each other's energy field and stuff like that, and mixing that with the touching and the foreplay, stuff like that.
That sounds fun. I might want to try to get some of that. That sounds delicious. I will say for myself, the one thing I haven't tried that I really do want to try is being tied up, but I know that's going to take being in a very serious relationship before I get into that one. Not that I have fear of losing the control aspect, is more so I just want to be doing that with a certain person. I want that to be an experience that I reserve for a serious relationship.
I mean, go ahead.
Oh no. What were you saying?
It's fear of more than just losing control, although I hear you, because a lot of men who like to be in control don't want to let that control go. But it's fear of not getting killed. It's fear of not being tied up and having pictures taken that's going to all on social media. There's a lot of bad things that can happen to you if you get tied up and are completely vulnerable with somebody you don't fucking know.
True. That is you're right, because I was, not that I wasn't thinking of that aspect of the danger side of things, because that is something to really be mindful of, because I know, like, I have a regular, and even with my not, I won't say necessary closeness with them, but I wouldn't want to be tied up by them, but I do enjoy exploring my sexuality with that person. Just not, I don't want you to tie me up. Handcuff might be interested in that, but the rope play, I want that to be a lot more of a sensual thing, and I want there to be a true romantic connection when that's happening, and not just a sexual kind of connection. Now, this spiritual, energetic sex that you brought up. How was that experience?
So when we start, maybe we'll kneel facing each other. My partner's way more flexible than I am. So I know how to open my legs wide, but other than that, I'm doing a lot of yoga these days, try to keep up with him. So I might put my right hand on his left chest and he may put his right hand on my left chest, and we may put the other hand on each other's thigh or something like that, and then just close our eyes, syncopate our breathing, and then just be in that moment and just feel and just see what comes up, and just feel. And I find when we do this, it's like a heat rises between us that adds fuel to the sexual fire. How he's about to dig my asshole out and plow my asshole out. There ain't nothing left in there.
I'm so done.
It connects us mentally and emotionally and spiritually. And see, once you start having good shit like this, you don't want to go back to the grinder hookup or the scruff hookup or wherever it is you hooking up with, because it's like you've been wearing now Prada, bitch, you don't want to go back to Walmart.
That's a word. Once you have something good, you don't want to lose it. You don't want to go back to the common thing. You don't want to go back to the basics. So I get you. Yeah. I get you 100%.
You never want to be reduced.
Child. Which is why, to this day, I will continue to say I refuse to discount myself for any motherfucker who cannot afford me. It is what it is. I might have scaling rates when it comes to business, but when it comes to my relationship, it's not scalable. you better come up with the money, like come up being willing and able to afford. That's it. And I'm not saying financial afford. I just mean afford my time. Have value about yourself.
Well, I hope you find it, but I also know the dating struggle is real. Because a lot of men out there would rather give you their wallets than their hearts. But that's not what you want, and you deserve better than that, because money don't fix it all.
Right. Now, if you're trying to pay for something, donations is always available. There's a Patreon coming and everything. Feel free to do whatever the fuck you want. Now, if you're trying to do some sexual booking, now let me stop. That's way too expensive. If we selling ass, you got to pay up. And the funds not the funds, but the price ain't low. I'm not like these basic motherfuckers in Atlanta. And I do mean that with shade.
I was about to say that's the shade of it all.
$20 hoes. It's okay. I love y'all. Be you. Be great. Anyways, that sounds like a good point to wrap up this episode. Do you have any lasting words, tips, tricks, spiritual advice, anything like that you would like to share with the audience?
Well, we always want to remember the Lord. Jesus Christ is who I believe in. I know not everybody is gonna believe in him, and that's fine. I always say I love going down to the Buddhist temple to hang out with them, because there's other bald bitches besides me. I have no hair, and I feel so loved and so seen and so embraced, and they have great vegetarian food. I don't think Buddhism, I'm just using them as an example because I've hung out with them more. I don't think it's less than Indian Christianity or anything. It's just different. And I don't identify as Christian, because what the fuck does that even mean anymore? I am a believer in Jesus Christ, and then that's it. But I'm saying all that to say, I think a lot of the problems we've talked about today boil down to internal intrinsic deficiencies. So people get your mental health checked on, sort yourself out spiritually, find out who and what to believe in, and follow. Because if your mind is not right and your spirit ain't right, you're going to be unbalanced in your physical world. And so you've been running around chasing your tail. You can't get your money right, you get your love life right. Well, maybe it's a soul issue first, just a suggestion, throwing it out there. My website is sexdrugsandjesus.com. My podcast, my books, everything about my life is on that one website, sexdrugsandjesus.com. Links to all the social medias, the blog, the YouTube videos, everything is through the website. That's all.
Yes, well, thank you so much for blessing my podcast with your presence. I love you so much. You're beautiful. Y'all definitely follow this man so y'all can see this damn smile. Like the teeth are doing what fucking need to be done every fucking day. It's just like, Lord, what happened? Granted, I love my smile, so but this man's smile is just so beautiful, y'all. It is so beautiful. I really, like, I will hate to see you unhappy for real, because your smile is like very warming and I love that so much. Now to my audience, let y'all know, y'all probably already heard already about Hovember. Get the fuck ready for Hovember. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a fun time. It's just going to be a lot more conversations. It's going to be a little bit different in format, style, and all that. And who the fucking guests are going to be on there? It might be more than one. Who knows? Who the fuck knows? Y'all better show the fuck out for Hovember. Also, make sure you are following Slaytor's Playhouse so that y'all can get the sexual health facts and whatnot. Might be some self-reflection questions. I'm still debating exactly what questions I'm going to be posting that month, but it'll be ready by the time that the month hits. But yes, everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak about sexuality. Just in case no one else told you this today, you are beautiful, you are worthy of happiness and joy, you are enough and then some. You may not live up to the expectations of others, but that is okay. You are only required to walk in your own shoes. May each day you live lead you towards abundance. With that said, love you all and see you next episode. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. You can subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting app and find us on the web at www.soliloquy.com. That's www.heauxliloquy.com. Share the podcast with your friends and join the conversation.